Over the last year, we've taken a series of actions to reinforce the integrity of our immigration system and programs contributing to the collective effort to ensure public safety and the orderly management of the shared border with the U.S. Les mesures qu'on a prises ont déjà
These steps have and will continue to have a measurable impact on the management of our immigration programs and the strengthening of our national security at a critical moment for both our country and our neighbors to the south. Canada and the United States, as David noted, have close person-to-person ties and a powerful economic partnership based on secure circulation of goods and individuals across the border. This partnership supports millions of jobs and households in both countries.
That a robust, well-managed immigration system is essential to building a safer, stronger North American perimeter. A well-managed immigration system doesn't mean the government is abandoning our quintessentially Canadian values. It's actually quite the contrary. These values depend on a well-managed system that bolsters that integrity that people can trust. And Canadians can also trust that immigration remains central to our national identity and critical to our well-being, as well as our long-term prosperity. That being said, there's no question that an increased migration of different natures has led to significant rise in the number of people seeking asylum in safe countries like Canada, one of the safest, if not the safest in the world. And despite having the best immigration and refugee system in the world, it's been a challenge to keep up. Unfortunately, it's also caused more bad actors to come out of the shadows looking to exploit those who are at their most vulnerable as they take a very difficult decision to move to another country and to profit over those seeking a better life. In response, we've taken decisive steps throughout the last year to strengthen our asylum system, including proposing new consequences for those who try to exploit it. Canada and the U.S. have a long history of collaborating to uphold the integrity of our respective systems. That means, first and foremost, working together. Rappelez-vous qu'au début de l'année,
I will remind you that in early 2023, we secured a significant achievement together by closing the irregular border crossing at Roxham Road and by expanding our Safe Third Country Agreement to encompass the entire land border as well as internal waterways. This step had a colossal impact. It reduced the number of asylum claims from illegal border crossers from 165 a day to 12 a day. In February, responding to a clear increase of fraud in the asylum system, as can be seen in the increasing number of rejected, withdrawn, or abandoned applications, we put in place a partial visa requirement for Mexican nationals. Since that time, asylum claims from Mexican citizens in our airports decreased by 97% compared to 2023.
Evidence of patterns of abuse in our visitor visas, we put in place new measures to detect fraud. And since then, we've made and seen a major reduction in the number of asylum claims from people who've been issued temporary resident visas. And visa refusals are also up by more than 61% with countries where we spotted the highest levels of abuse. You've been distributed a number of charts that evidence that in a more graphic way. You can do with those what you will, but there's a number of important data points we think are significant that chart the course of the progress that's been achieved over the last year.
What is more, we are putting in place new regulations to prevent people from advising others to abuse our system and to rapidly penalize those who attempt to do so. Most immigration and citizenship consultants adhere to strict professional standards, but some provide paid advice with no authorization or encourage people to be fraudulent. New regulations will give IRCC and the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants more powers to penalize these individuals. We are proposing monetary penalties up to $1.5 million, as well as other consequences, such as naming and shaming bad actors on our website.
Not only enhance Canada's ability to manage those who enter the country, but also strengthen border security. They've also proven effective at protecting the Canada-U.S. border from irregular southbound crossings. After we imposed the partial visa requirement that I mentioned earlier for Mexican nationals, we've seen a rapid decline in Canada being used as a backdoor into the U.S. A number of the Mexican nationals intercepted while trying to cross illegally has fallen by 72% since June alone. I can also report that our heightened scrutiny of visitor visa applications has led to an 89% overall reduction in foreign nationals crossing illegally into the United States over that same period. And since launching our system to verify every study permit application that corresponds with an authentic letter of acceptance, which has been a challenge over the last year, from an accredited post-secondary learning institution, we've seen a 91% drop in legal U.S. crossings by those with and those holding Canadian study permits. Puis récemment, comme l'a mentionné David, nous avons mis fin à la...
More recently, as David noted, we put an end to the practice of flag polling. That's when foreign nationals leave Canada and immediately come back in over a land border in order to access immigration services on the same day, instead of putting in an application online and waiting their turn properly. Flag polling used up precious border resources and kept Canadian and American agents from doing more important tasks. Ending this practice freed up 8,000 workdays. That's the equivalent of one person working very hard for 20 years straight. These changes will help prevent fraud and facilitate the legal cross-border circulation of goods, services, and people that our countries depend on.
Between countries is also crucial to a safe and orderly migration. Adding to our existing processes of sharing relevant data on foreign nationals applying to immigrate to either country, we've extended our information sharing agreement with the Americans and will now share immigration-related information on permanent residents in both Canada and the U.S. This information is really mission critical to having a safe border. And by granting this extensions, both countries are better equipped to screen applicants and make informed migration decisions and also prevent fraud.
We continue to observe the destabilizing influence of worldwide disinformation. That is why, for our programs to be successful and for newcomers to thrive in Canada, ad campaigns this year will seek to inform potential newcomers about international study permits and the Canadian asylum process.
Taken measures that we're implementing and they're working. There are clear signs of that: reduced southbound apprehensions, fewer asylum claims, less fraud and abuse. This is concrete, important progress. Évidemment, ce travail n'est pas nouveau, il a persisté.
These efforts are not new. They've been going on over a number of administrations. Both American ones and Canadian ones over the 9 years we were in power.
Administration, because the fact is that this collaboration is in the shared interests of both Canadians and Americans. On that, thank you. And both David and I are happy to take your questions.